Imagine this. You wake up one morning, and the government has declared your faith illegal overnight. Your church is gone, your missionaries are expelled, and if you gather with fellow believers, you risk arrest. This is not a scene from a dystopian novel. This is the lived reality of thousands of Latter-day Saints inside Russia right now, today, in 2024. And what is happening behind closed doors in those secret gatherings is something the Kremlin never anticipated. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you will understand not just why Russia banned the LDS Church, but what that ban revealed about the power of genuine faith when it is pushed underground. And trust me, there is a twist in this story that most people do not see coming. Welcome to History Unmasked. If you are new here, this channel exists to pull back the curtain on the hidden chapters of religious history that mainstream media never tells you about. Hit that subscribe button right now, because we release content like this every single week, and you do not want to miss what is coming next. Now, let us get into it. To understand why Russia banned the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, you have to go back further than most people realize. You cannot just look at the 2015 court rulings or the 2017 crackdowns. You have to understand the soul of Russian religious policy, because what Russia did to the LDS Church was not random. It was calculated, it was strategic, and it follows a pattern that goes back centuries. Russia has always viewed foreign religion through the lens of national security. This goes all the way back to the Tsars, who protected the Russian Orthodox Church as a pillar of national identity. When the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, there was a brief window, roughly 10 years, where religious freedom actually flourished in Russia. And that window is exactly when the LDS Church moved in fast and moved in strong. By the mid-1990s, there were over 10,000 Latter-day Saints in Russia. Missionaries from America were teaching in schools, baptizing thousands, and building a presence that was visible, organized, and growing. The Kremlin watched all of this and filed it away. Now, here is a question for you and I. Genuinely want you to answer this in the comments below. Do you think a government has the right to restrict a religion if it believes that religion poses a cultural threat? Think about that and drop your answer below, because this debate is at the heart of everything that follows. In 2016, Russia passed what became known as the Yarovaya Law. This was a sweeping anti-terrorism and anti-missionary law that effectively made it illegal to share religious beliefs outside of officially approved locations. It was marketed as a counter-terrorism measure, but religious scholars, human rights organizations, and the United States Commission on International Religious Freedom all said the same thing. This law was a direct assault on minority religions, and the LDS Church was right in the crosshairs. Why specifically the LDS Church? 3 reasons, and this is where it gets deeply tactical. First, the LDS Church is American. In a geopolitical climate where Russia and the United States are locked in an ideological Cold War, an American-organized, American-funded, American-led religious institution operating on Russian soil is not just a church to the Kremlin. It is a foreign influence operation. That is the language Russian authorities actually used in court documents: foreign influence. Second, the missionary program, the LDS Church, sends young people, mostly Americans, door to door, with the explicit mission of converting people away from their existing faith. In a country where the Russian Orthodox Church is considered part of the national fabric, this is seen as a direct attack on Russian culture and identity. Patriarch Kirill of the Russian Orthodox Church has publicly stated that Protestant and particularly American missionary groups are conducting spiritual aggression against Russia. Third, and this is the one that almost nobody talks about, the LDS emphasis on self-sufficiency, community networks, food storage systems, and loyalty to a global church structure that operates independently of the state. The Kremlin views that kind of organized, self-sufficient community as a parallel power structure. And parallel power structures are something Vladimir Putin has spent his entire political career dismantling. By 2017, the consequences were real and severe. Missionaries were expelled. Church meeting houses were closed. Members were fined for holding worship services. And then, in some regions, members were actually raided in their homes. But here is the twist. And this is the part of the story that will genuinely surprise you. The ban did not kill the LDS Church in Russia. It transformed it into something far more resilient, far more intimate, and by many accounts, far more spiritually powerful than what existed before. Members began meeting in private apartments, small groups, sometimes just 6 or 8 people, gathering quietly, passing scriptures around, conducting sacrament from ordinary bread and water in someone's kitchen. Local leaders, Russian citizens themselves, stepped up in ways that had never been required of them when American missionaries were there to do the heavy lifting. The church did not collapse, it adapted. It went underground, and in going underground, it became something that no government policy can easily reach, which is a community of genuine believers who have already counted the cost and chosen faith anyway. I want to ask you something, and again, please answer this in the comments because I read every single one. When faith is illegal, does it become stronger or weaker? History gives us case after case where persecution purifies and concentrates belief. We saw it in the early Christian church under Rome. We saw it with the LDS Church itself in Missouri in 1838, when an extermination order was issued against Latter-day Saints by the governor. And now we are seeing it in Russia in the 21st century. What do you think happens to a community when it is forced to strip away every institutional comfort and gather around only its core convictions? Let us talk about what is actually happening on the ground right now, because this is where the story gets both painful and extraordinary. As of 2023 and into 2024, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has maintained a legal presence in Russia, but only through a very narrow and carefully navigated structure. Official church operations are severely limited. American missionaries are gone. The church headquarters does not publicly discuss the specifics of what is happening inside Russia for the safety of its members. But reports from human rights organizations like Forum 18, which monitors religious freedom across the post-Soviet world, confirm that members are continuing to meet, continuing to worship, and continuing to share their faith, quietly and at personal risk. There are members in Russia right now who have been fined multiple times for what Russian law calls illegal missionary activity, which in practice can mean simply telling a neighbor that you attend church and that they are welcome to come with you. Think about that for a moment. The act of inviting a friend to church, something most people in Europe do without a second thought, is a punishable offense for a Russian Latter-day Saint today, and yet they continue. Now here is something that almost no one in the Western Christian world is talking about, and it deserves your full attention. The situation of the LDS Church in Russia is not isolated. It is part of a broader pattern of religious restriction that is spreading across Eurasia. Belarus has adopted similar laws. Central Asian republics have been tightening religious freedom for years, and even within Europe, there are governments beginning to raise questions about foreign-funded religious organizations. This is not just a Russian story. This is a story about the future of religious freedom in the modern world. So where does that leave us? Russia banned the LDS Church from full operation because it saw in it a foreign influence, a cultural challenge, and an organized community that operated by loyalties the state could not control. And in banning it, Russia created exactly what it feared most, a decentralized, deeply committed network of believers who do not need a building or a missionary program or an institutional structure to sustain their faith. The church that Russia tried to erase is still there, hidden, yes, quieter, yes, but alive. Before I let you go, I have one final question for you, and I really want your honest thoughts in the comments. Do you believe the underground church in Russia will ultimately survive and grow, or do you think continued government pressure will eventually wear it down? Tell me what you think below, because the comment section on this channel is genuinely one of the best conversations on the internet, and I mean that. If this video gave you something to think about, something you did not know before, then do one thing for me right now. Hit subscribe on History Unmasked. Every week, we go deep into the stories of faith, power, and history that the headlines skim past. And if you want to go even deeper, share this video with someone who cares about religious freedom, because these stories deserve to travel further than the algorithm usually takes them. Thank you for watching History Unmasked. The truth does not stay buried forever.